All right, members, coming to you from the driving range this week. I'm going to give you two tips this week. One about playing irons in the wind and one about playing drivers in the wind. As we go into the fall, a lot of times around here we start to get heavy winds and it starts blowing all those leaves around. We're going to try to help you out with keeping that ball on the fairway off the tee and then playing some lower shots, controlling your trajectory when it comes to iron play. So I've got my 7-iron here. And I just want to talk through a couple of main things I think about when I'm trying to control my flight, trying to lower that trajectory. The biggest thing that I'm trying to do is lower the spin, the backspin that I put on the shot. And so when I'm doing that, I want to make sure that I don't put the ball way too far back in my stance and hit down on it. That's going to create more backspin. So I keep that ball about in the middle of my stance. But the biggest thing I do is I choke up a little bit on the club and I really try to smooth my swing out and make it a little bit more of a body swing. So try to make sure that I'm using my big muscles, my hips, my shoulders. So when I'm swinging on this shot, instead of my normal swing where that ball is maybe just ahead of the middle and I really am going after it hard with my hands and my body, here I'm going to be a little bit more relaxed and just turning the body and trying not to get my wrists into it quite as much, okay? And probably abbreviating the follow through a little bit. So when I follow through, I'm more here as opposed to a full swing where I'm up over my shoulder. So it's gonna look something kind of like this, ball in the middle of my stance and trying to create a very nice smooth swing. So the ball is gonna go a little bit shorter, but the ball flight will stay lower and go more through the wind. Now when we go to driver and we start trying to play the driver in the wind, whether we're into the wind or downwind, whatever, but big thing again is trying to take backspin off, okay? If I swing really hard at the driver, I'm gonna create a lot of backspin. The ball is gonna shoot up and it's gonna shoot in whatever direction I just hit it. So if it's a left to right shot, it's gonna go further into the wind, further left to right. So the biggest thing that I want you to think of when you're hitting with the wind and on a driver is you need to tee the ball up high. Tee the ball just as high as you would have before. I see a lot of players come up here, tee the ball low, put the ball back in their stance, and what that does, it makes you hit down on it, and it makes you catch the ball lower on the face, and it makes you create more backspin, okay? So we want to keep the ball up in our stance, keep the ball teed nice and high, but just like the iron swing, we're going to try to smooth out our swing a little bit here. So we're trying to gear back on distance here a little bit because that's going to help us control that flight again, control that trajectory. So we're going to have a swing that's a little bit more controlled by turning the body as opposed to really going hard at it with our hands and arms. So swing's going to look a little bit more smooth like this. And help that follow through kind of stay low and following through to the left. So when you're in the wind, make sure we're keeping that ball in the same position in our stance with the driver. Make sure you're using the tee nice and high. You know, don't get that ball teed too low. But biggest key is really smooth out that swing and try to take your hands and wrists out of it.